My name is Stephanie Carroll and I am author of A White Room, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about a book called Medicine Women, The Story of Early American Women Doctors by Cathy Luchetti. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. I got this book from the library recently because I'm doing a new chapter in A White Room about how Emmeline discovers that she wants to be a nurse. And I needed both information and visuals of what nursing school was like specifically and what infirmaries looked like and things like that. So what I really enjoyed about this book is specifically the pictures, and that's kind of what I'm going to be sharing with you mostly today. Although the content is really awesome, and just a brief overview, the content includes medicine on the frontier, women's medicine on the frontier, women doctors on the emotional frontier, and that talks about things like what women had to deal with trying to become a doctor in this time period, which, by the way, is late 1800s, early 1900s. Early inspirations, horseback heroines head west, so Western medicine, which was different than Eastern medicine. The actual doctors, women doctors, and what their doctors' offices looked like, fees, bills, payments, rural remedies, kitchen table surgery, pink pills and innovations, birth control, lying in and childbirth. A lot of really good information about women doctors and women nurses and just everything they did. So the first picture I want to show you is, it's called Early Remedies from Murphy Library, University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. And it's a picture of basically an herbal medicine merchant. These people would go around in carriages, obviously selling remedies, because back then pharmaceuticals was definitely different. Some things were kind of, real medicines, and other things were folklore, and sometimes there were herbal remedies that were in fact helpful. The next picture that was something I used was a classroom. It's Class Cadaver Lab. So this is a place where they would actually teach students with real cadavers. And it was taken in 1892. It's from Minnesota Historical Society. The reason that I'm showing you these pictures, you're like, wow, Stephanie, why are you just opening up a book and showing me pictures? That's really interesting. Is because I used these pictures, I looked at these pictures and use them to describe things that I describe in A White Room. Because when you're doing historical fiction and you want to be historically accurate, you can't just make that stuff up. You got to actually see what it looked like and then use that to come up with a fantasy one. Or you can describe a real one, which I do a lot of in a White Room. Next is Instruction in Obstetrics. So I can't tell in this picture if this is a real woman or not. It's from National Library of Medicine. This is a picture of a classroom, and they're instructing about examining the female genitalia. This is kind of a big subject in A White Room. It's not discussed in great detail, but it's kind of like an underlying issue. See that woman right there? This is in front of a classroom. I can't tell if that's a real woman or if that's a dummy. I'm not sure. Picture is not, it kind of looks like a dummy. Yeah. I'm looking at it and the person looks too stiff to be real. Okay, this next picture is something specific that I used to it was one of the inspirations for some of the scenes in A White Room. This is medical school, courtesy of Arizona Historical Society, Tucson, Buman Memorial Collection. These are a few women in an actual classroom. You got a skeleton in there, and they're, when I look at these kinds of things, I look at the way the furniture looks and how the cabinetry and floors look in the background, because those are things that I need to describe that I don't know what they look like back then. This picture is an actual picture of surgery. It's operating room, St. Mary's Hospital, 1915, Minnesota Historical Society. There's a specific guy in this picture who I thought was just very interesting looking, and I kind of used his image as an inspiration for one of my characters. It's this guy right here. Just something about the way that he's standing and watching. I thought it was very, also this guy too. Something about the way that they're watching. Usually in these photos, in these historical photos, people are standing or positioned in a very specific way, and it almost doesn't look modern. The way those two guys are standing and looking at this surgery, it seems very modern. Something about the way that they're doing it. And I don't know, that's my opinion. It's not like a professional opinion or something. But something about it struck me. Next is Relief Society, Nursing School, California, 1900. LDS Historical Department Archives. This one I kind of used to help understand what nurses wore and what they looked like, what that looked like. I can read all day long about what nurses wore, but it's not the same reading it as it is as looking at it and actually being able to say, oh, that's what they meant by poofy sleeves. Same thing with hair. Hair is very difficult for me unless I have a picture I can copy. Hold on, I'm getting there. Okay, this one I really use to describe an infirmary in a white room. There's a scene where Emmeline is volunteering in a school infirmary, and I use this picture to figure out that they had wood floors, they had cabinets with towels and various medical supplies. I kind of wanted to fit in this radiator back here in my descriptions, but I didn't. Maybe I'll fit it in later. Got a couple more photos I want to show you. But I have to get to them. I didn't mark them before I did this vlog. I probably should have done that. But I work on the fly. This picture is just interesting because I didn't realize that they had full dentist setups at this time period. But this is 1920. This photo is 1920. Dr. Olga Lintz, female, a St. Paul dentist, 1920, photographed by Albert Nunson, Minnesota Historical Society. That's actual dentistry taking place in 1920. That's something you don't really think about happening in the 1920s, but people had teeth issues all the time back then too. I think there is one more photo that I wanted to show you. Here's another operating room, National Library of Medicine. That's not the one photo I wanted to show you though. The one photo I want to show you is very interesting and very frustrating. And it has to do with stuff that goes down in... Here's another classroom. This is a women's classroom. Obviously it's for African American women, which this book talks about was very difficult. It's very difficult for women to become nurses in the first place, and then African American women was even harder. This is a photo that was very interesting to me. What is going on here? Let's see if I can get a really nice close look at that. That is electrodes, are electrodes. Those are electrodes that doctor's holding to her. Now notice how her clothes are hanging off and she's got this look on her face of enjoyment. The thing that's very frustrating about this photo is that I looked in the book for an explanation of either electrotherapy or hysteria or something like that, and it's not in the book. They don't even explain what's happening in this picture. All it says is electrotherapy, National Library of Medicine. Maybe it's explained in here somewhere and I didn't find it, But within the pages that are surrounding this photo, there's no explanation, and there's not even a discussion of electrotherapy. I looked up electrotherapy in the index, and it was like way earlier in the book, not around this picture at all. So that's something that frustrates me. Also, because a white room, there is discussion. Hysteria obviously plays a large role in a white room, if you've read my website and seen what a white room's about. And electrotherapy was a huge popular treatment for that, and it was a growing treatment. It was new. It wasn't fully understood. And the idea was that electricity would draw out this nervous tension that was directly linked to sexuality and to a lack of sexual satisfaction, which led to the hysteria, is what they believed. And so that's why I think it's very interesting that this woman's clothes are off, that they're hanging off. Women didn't walk around with their clothes hanging off like this back then. This is kind of a very scandalous looking photo. The only reason that it was probably acceptable to be taken was because it was a medical situation. But back then, women were covered up to their necks. Everything was covered. But the idea with electricity, and they would do manual stimulation as well, was that you would ultimately lead the woman to have an orgasm. And so I'm wondering if that's what's happening in this photo. I'm not sure. This is me totally hypothesizing, and I'm sure there's a historian out there somewhere going, oh, just scoffing at my theories because I didn't do research on it. I'm just guessing, and I'm kind of bringing in things that are in a white room to that guess. But those were some of the photos I wanted to show you because they did some inspiration for a white room. Again, this is Medicine Women, the story of early American women doctors by Cathy Luchetti. Here's a picture of Cathy. And it's a book that I've been using to research a white room. Thank you for watching my vlog. I try to put new ones up every Friday and Saturday. Or Friday or Saturday, not both. Bye.